the opening scene, a rat inadvertently burrows into a cage within a military-sanctioned research facility while searching for food and water, only to become prey to an unseen predator. Shortly after, Dr. Sebastian Kane is seen working late in his apartment, attempting to unravel the process to reverse invisibility in living organisms. He pauses momentarily to observe his attractive neighbor undressing in the building across the street. His thrill is cut short when she closes her bedroom curtains. As Sebastian paces around his apartment, inspiration strikes him, and he immediately tests his theory on the computer. Excited by the breakthrough, he quickly calls Linda McKay, his ex-girlfriend and colleague, to share his success. During a video call, he becomes curious about the man seen in Linda's bed, but she reminds him that he no longer has a say in her love life and turns the camera away. After revealing the groundbreaking formula to Linda, he asks her to contact their associate, Matt Kensington, to prepare the gorilla, Isabel, for a live trial. Once off the phone, Linda wakes Matt and informs him that Sebastian has finally discovered the reversal formula, so they need to head to the lab immediately. Linda also suggests they drive separately to keep their relationship hidden from Sebastian. When Matt mentions that Sebastian will eventually need to know, Linda assures him she'll tell him soon. As they arrive at the facility, Matt goes to sedate the invisible gorilla, Isabel, but she overpowers him and escapes before he can administer the tranquilizer. While chasing the animal, Matt runs into Sebastian in the corridor. Claiming he'll be the one to catch her, Sebastian grabs a tranquilizer gun and proposes a $10 wager. When Isabel is cornered, Matt misses his shot. Sebastian fires and hits the gorilla on his first attempt, rendering her unconscious. Sarah checks her vitals and prepares Isabel by applying dye to her limbs. As Matt readies the injection, Sebastian takes over, insisting that he deserves the recognition. The serum flows through Isabel's veins shortly after the injection and travels to her heart. As her internal organs begin to reappear, the research team watches in amazement. However, when her heart rate and blood pressure spike, the gorilla starts thrashing in pain. She goes into shock and eventually flatlines, prompting Linda to defibrillate her several times. When there's no response, Sebastian instructs Matt to give an intracardiac shot, but before he can act, Isabel's heart starts beating again. Her body slowly becomes visible as she stabilizes. To celebrate their success, the team dines at an upscale restaurant. Outside, Sebastian brings up their failed relationship and makes subtle advances toward Linda. However, his hopes of rekindling the romance are crushed when he tries to kiss her and she pulls away. A few days later, Sebastian presents his findings to a Pentagon oversight panel. To Linda and Matt's surprise, he lies, claiming he hasn't yet reversed the process. He tells the board the team is close but needs more time. His former mentor, Dr. Howard Kramer, praises his brilliance but warns that without quick results, the government might replace him. Fearing a government takeover of the project once the truth is revealed, Sebastian admits to Linda and Matt that he wasn't ready to disclose their progress. He proposes human testing without informing the authorities. Although Matt brings up legal protocols, Sebastian argues that breaking the rules is the only path to true innovation. He insists they have a better chance of winning a Nobel Prize if they act independently. Back at the lab, Sebastian falsely claims he has volunteered and that official clearance has been granted for human trials. While the team expresses concern, he reminds them they've successfully brought back 7 apes in the last month, stating that human testing is the logical next step. He will remain invisible for 3 days before attempting the reversal. Despite being offered the chance to withdraw on the day of the procedure, Sebastian is determined to go first. Taking the serum from Linda, he promises to inject himself so she won't bear responsibility if something goes wrong. Soon after the injection, he feels a tingling in his arm. His skin begins to disintegrate, and he convulses in agony. Carter, the EMT, quickly moves the defibrillator to the operating table after detecting erratic heart activity. He writhes in pain, but his heart rate stabilizes before they can use the defibrillator. Sebastian's body gradually turns invisible as he soon loses consciousness. Eventually, Sebastian wakes up after 17 hours. The intense brightness prevents him from closing his eyes comfortably, so he tells Linda to turn off the lights. Linda observes that because his eyelids are now translucent, Sebastian can still see even when they're shut. Sebastian heads straight to a mirror to confirm whether he's truly invisible. Then, accompanied by Matt and Linda, he walks to the lab to demonstrate his invisibility to the rest of the team. Later, Linda tells Sebastian that one of the team members will be staying with him in case he needs anything. The remaining team will remain on standby, ready to return to the lab within half an hour if necessary. Before leaving, Linda informs Sarah that she'll be back by 8 and that Carter is scheduled to visit at 6. Moments later, Sebastian approaches Sarah while she sleeps and gently touches her hair to see if she's awake. He then begins to unbutton her blouse and makes unwelcome physical contact. As Sarah stirs, she asks aloud if Sebastian is in the room with her and realizes that her shirt has been opened. When she checks the monitor and sees that Sebastian is not in bed, she becomes suspicious. However, as soon as she turns around, Sebastian returns and lies back down. The following morning, Sarah shares her suspicions with Linda and Matt, suggesting that Sebastian may have been in her room while she was sleeping. Still uncertain about what exactly occurred, she advises them not to confront Sebastian just yet. When Matt asks him why he wasn't in bed, Sebastian claims he stepped out for some coffee. 3 days after the initial procedure, the team prepares Sebastian for the reversal process. After Matt injects him with the serum, Sebastian starts breathing heavily, signaling that something is wrong. When he breaks free from the restraints and thrashes on the table, Matt and Carter attempt to restrain him. Sebastian kicks Matt in the face, hurls Carter across the room, and manages to stand. His body briefly becomes visible before he collapses and passes out. Once they get him back on the table, they find his pulse has stopped. Matt performs CPR, and after some effort, Sebastian's heartbeat resumes, and his body slowly fades back into invisibility. Hours later, Sebastian regains consciousness, and Linda tells him he nearly died. To help him navigate the lab, they create a latex mask that makes his facial features visible. After Sebastian mentions that he needs to make adjustments if he's going to remain invisible, Matt urgently works to find a way to reverse the process without causing Sebastian's death. Over the next several days, Sebastian grows agitated from being confined to the lab and subjected to continuous testing. After 10 days of invisibility, he's restless. One evening, Carter is the only one on duty, so Sebastian decides to sneak out. Carter, unable to stop him, contacts the rest of the team to alert them of his departure. While outside, Sebastian amuses 2 kids in a car on the highway by revealing his invisible eye sockets. As Linda prepares to visit Sebastian's apartment, she asks Matt to return to the lab. When Sebastian arrives home, he notices his neighbor changing in the building across from his. Hesitant at first, he ultimately decides to use his invisibility to get a closer look. Sebastian rings the woman's doorbell several times. When she unlocks the door and steps out of the room, he sneaks inside. As she comes back, Sebastian watches her brush her hair. She suddenly looks around the room in panic when he adjusts the mirror. As she backs away, Sebastian forces himself on her. When Linda arrives at Sebastian's apartment, she finds his clothes and mask left on the bed. After assaulting his neighbor, Sebastian sees Linda entering his place through the window. He waits for her to leave before returning inside. Back at the lab, as the rest of the team prepares to search for Sebastian, Technician Frank Chase hands them tranquilizer guns. Sebastian reappears shortly and claims he only went home to pick up some belongings. Linda warns him that if he tries to leave the lab again, she'll report him to the oversight committee. Concerned that Sebastian's prolonged invisibility has started affecting his mental health, Linda discusses her worries with Matt. As Carter runs a few medical tests, Sebastian casually mentions that he had fun messing with a woman outside. Meanwhile, another simulation of the reversal process fails in the lab. Sebastian complains to Linda that he feels like a prisoner, unable to use the very gift he created. Linda tells him he's not a prisoner, but Sebastian points out that, unlike him, she's free to leave the lab and spend time with her boyfriend. Later that night, Sebastian takes a piece of lab equipment and uses it to loop a video feed of himself sleeping, so it appears as though he's in bed. Then, he sneaks out to Linda's apartment and discovers she is romantically involved with Matt. As the two begin to make love, Sebastian interrupts them by smashing the window beside the bed. Frank tells Linda that Sebastian is in bed when she contacts the lab to check whether he has escaped. Furious and jealous, Sebastian returns to the facility. As he paces the lab, the barking of an unseen dog irritates him, so he grabs it and violently slams it against the walls of the cage until it dies. When Sarah questions him about the dog, Sebastian claims he was asleep when it died. After reviewing the surveillance footage, they conclude that Sebastian never left the room. Linda is working from home when she's startled by strange noises surrounding her. Alarmed, she rushes to the lab to check on Sebastian. Although she can't find him in his room, the video monitor shows him lying in bed. Realizing he has been playing a looped video of himself, she contacts the entire team and asks them to return to the lab. Sebastian watches the team arrive while roaming the parking lot. Unknown to Matt and Linda, Sebastian had followed them to Dr. Kramer when they went to report him. After they leave, Sebastian attacks and drowns Dr. Kramer in the pool. By the time his wife arrives, Dr. Kramer is already dead. The next day, when Linda gets to the lab, she tries to call Dr. Kramer but learns he drowned in the pool the previous night. As she attempts to contact another member of the oversight committee, the phone lines suddenly cut out. When Matt and Linda try to leave the lab, the security system disables the elevator. They soon discover that their access codes have been revoked. Janice Walton, the lab technician, falls behind as she reaches for a thermal goggle while the team begins searching for Sebastian. Suddenly, Sebastian appears and uses an 4-line to strangle her. After failing to reach Dr. Kramer, Linda tells Sebastian over the intercom that the committee is already aware of what he's done. Sebastian then admits that he killed Kramer the night before anyone could be informed. The team quickly realizes Janice is missing. Using a thermal goggle, they find her body stuffed inside a locker. Linda asks Frank to restore their access codes so that motion detectors can be activated. As they move through the facility, Matt and Carter arm themselves with tranquilizer guns. While searching the corridors for Sebastian, they spot movement. Matt detects heat coming from the vent, but Carter sees heat signatures behind the pipes. Sebastian is hiding on a ceiling pipe and grabs Carter while Matt is distracted. Matt tries to shoot, but misses and hits a pipe. Sebastian hurls Carter against the wall as Matt continues firing. Due to the heat from the pipes, Matt's thermal goggles are ineffective. Running out of tranquilizers, Matt grabs a fire extinguisher to gain visual on Sebastian. The extinguisher's smoke helps Matt see him, but he still struggles to land a hit. Sebastian punches and kicks Matt to the ground, but Linda arrives just in time to rescue him. After Sarah discovers Carter has lost a critical amount of blood, she retrieves multiple blood bags from the walk-in refrigerator. Hearing movement, she pours blood on the floor to reveal Sebastian's footprints. She manages to splash him with blood, but he confronts her and shoots her with the tranquilizer gun. Despite her being unconscious, he kills her anyway. Frank, along with Matt and Linda, leaves Carter's body behind and goes searching for Sarah. Upon finding Sarah's corpse, Sebastian appears and stabs Frank with a crowbar. Then he impales him in the lower chest with a metal rod and locks Matt and Linda inside the refrigerator. Returning to his quarters, Sebastian puts on his mask and prepares to leave the lab. Linda uses duct tape to bind Matt's wound and cleverly employs a magnetic drawer handle to escape the refrigerator. After pulling Matt out, she starts a fire to warm him. Meanwhile, Sebastian gathers materials to craft a bomb and destroy the lab to erase all evidence. He places the chemicals in a centrifuge and sets a 5-minute timer before heading to the elevator. Linda intercepts him at the elevator and ignites him with a flamethrower. After escaping the elevator, Sebastian sheds his burnt clothes and regains his invisible form. Linda uses the last of the flamethrower's gasoline to trigger the sprinklers. However, Sebastian ambushes and overpowers her. Matt comes to her rescue and strikes Sebastian unconscious with a crowbar. Sebastian tries to retaliate, but Matt blocks him. In the struggle, Sebastian hits a fuse box, partially revealing his body as electricity courses through him. Matt and Linda discover the bomb Sebastian built and hurry to the elevator, hoping to climb the shaft to escape. The bomb explodes as they ascend, propelling the elevator upward and injuring Linda's shoulder. The elevator then crashes down, but stops just short of hitting Matt. As they begin climbing again, Sebastian drags Linda back down. While trying to free herself, Linda is given a final kiss by Sebastian, who says it's for nostalgia. During the kiss, she uses her foot to disconnect the elevator wiring, causing Sebastian to fall to his death down the shaft. Linda clings to the cable. Firefighters arrive to extinguish the blaze as Linda and Matt emerge from the burning building. Hollow Man presents a chilling exploration of science without morality, power without accountability, and the monstrous potential that can arise when human nature is left unchecked. Directed by Paul Verhoeven, the film blends science fiction and psychological horror to deliver a narrative that is both thrilling and deeply disturbing. At its core, Hollow Man is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unregulated experimentation and the ethical boundaries that must govern scientific discovery. Sebastian Cain, a brilliant but arrogant scientist, becomes a symbol of hubris. His transformation into the invisible Hollow Man does not simply remove him from sight. It erodes his humanity. As he gradually succumbs to his darkest impulses, the film reveals how anonymity and unchecked power can corrupt even the most intelligent mind. Sebastian begins as an ambitious researcher, but evolves into a remorseless predator, using his invisibility to manipulate, terrorize, and ultimately murder those around him. The film also delves into themes of isolation, voyeurism, and control. Once invisible, Sebastian is no longer subject to the rules of society or even the surveillance of his peers. This detachment from consequences feeds his God complex, allowing his moral compass to disintegrate. His descent into madness is made more terrifying by the cold precision with which he stalks his victims, including his former colleagues and friends. The sense of claustrophobia within the underground lab setting heightens the tension, emphasizing that even in a controlled environment, danger can emerge from within. Linda and Matt represent the moral counterbalance to Sebastian's descent. They are not without flaws, but they strive to act ethically even as the situation spirals out of control. Linda, in particular, evolves from being a passive participant to a courageous protagonist who stands her ground against Sebastian's increasingly violent and psychotic behavior. Her ingenuity and resilience reflect the film's underlying message, that conscience and responsibility are what separate heroes from monsters. Visually, Hollow Man was groundbreaking for its time, showcasing cutting-edge special effects that convincingly rendered Sebastian's invisibility. The visual depiction of his body vanishing layer by layer, from flesh to muscle to bone, is not only impressive but symbolic of his dehumanization. However, the film's technological achievements are used not just for spectacle, but to serve the narrative's darker tones, effectively immersing the audience in the terrifying possibilities of what invisibility could mean in the wrong hands. Despite its strengths, Hollow Man has been critiqued for its portrayal of violence, especially against women, and for not fully exploring the deeper philosophical implications of invisibility. Yet these controversies also provoke critical discussion about how power can be abused and how often women, in particular, are victimized in narratives where male control goes unchecked. Ultimately, Hollow Man is a disturbing, thought-provoking film that serves as both a high-concept thriller and a grim reflection on human nature. It asks uncomfortable questions. What would you do if no one could see you? What limits would you cross if you believed you could get away with anything? And most importantly, what remains of a person when their actions are no longer bound by visibility, justice, or moral judgment? In conclusion, Hollow Man is more than just a sci-fi horror flick. It is a psychological study of corruption, power, and the fragile boundaries that separate civilization from chaos. Through its intense narrative, compelling performances, and haunting atmosphere, it leaves a lasting impression, one that challenges the viewer to consider not just what science can do, but what it should do.